Hey, welcome everyone. We're going to get started in a minute. I got a full green room. We got Patrick, Philip, and Bravo 65 waiting to come out alive. Their debut national television superstars. We'll be in the chat room. If you'll just put where you're from, and we'll be with you in just a second. All right, you guys got to love that music. So we're going to get started here. Just give me 30 seconds. All right, we are getting started. I got a full green room. I'm going to make a few announcements, bring them in. Tonight, we're going to go over GMRS, FRS, MRS, MURS, and CB, you're going to be geniuses at all these by the time we finish tonight. And you will never need to read a book or study anything again. That's just the way we roll. So I want to welcome everyone for joining us this evening. I'm going to start right in there because we're going to try to end on time. I mean, like seriously on time, because we got questions at the end, and we got a major HF net that's going to 80 meter net that's going to happen at 9 p.m. and that means it could be past your bedtime. So buckle up. Let's go for the ride. So I do want to update everyone on cryptocurrency. That is coming. That will be next month. And we're going to train you all things in cryptocurrency. We're not going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to give you resources, give you I have a gentleman that's supposed to be coming on. We're signing, we're getting that lined up. And he is a superstar in this. So just want you guys to know that is coming. I think it's important. It may be the start of the Antichrist, because we're going to a one world currency, but it's not. It's really not. They're probably the same technology, but and you need to get on board because it's coming. So why not be ahead of it? So those of you that still don't have a computer because you're like, well, computers are going to be controlled by the internet. Well, okay, look what you could have missed. But now same with the currency. So that's coming up in the future. The next is the home-based business. So, man, I'm excited about this. I'm so excited about this. I was talking to some guys this past Friday, just excited. So only gold and silver are real money? Absolutely not. Only gold and silver is not absolutely real money. Actually, we're going to go over what the definition of real money is. And because in a island, they use stones. And stones is real money to them. And we're going to go through the definition of gold and silver. So, and all that. So anyway, that's coming. Business. So we're going to start a home-based business. So I want preppers to be the richest people on earth. And so we're going to go over some things. And I'm going to be brutally honest with some of you people. And so here's what I need you to do. Before we go into the home-based businesses, now the business world is kind of where I've been forever, okay? But I need you to, I'm going to make this a little, I think you guys can, if you can still hear me, let me know. I just took me off the screen so you don't have to look at my ugly face. But just give me an amen or something. Yeah. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to send me what business idea. If you got this business idea you're currently doing, or okay, let's go through the number here. One, business idea that you love. Did you like, okay, I would like to do this. Send me that idea. Number two, a business that you're already running. So if you're already running a business, let me know what it is. And then number three, it says the business idea to make money. Okay, because sometimes because the reason I put this here is because sometimes you do a business you love and you don't make crap during the business, but you love doing it. Like if you're doing an egg business, I mean, you're not going to make money on an egg business. You're just not. You can sell a lot of, there's a lot of chickens unless you have a huge pen. But anyway, so I want to know kind of if you run your business for the love of it, because that's what you like to do, or if you want to make money, then give me your idea. And then if it's a profit goal or not, what's your profit goals? I mean, hey, I like to make, extra $400 a month. I like to do this because I'm going to be brutally honest. And if your business idea sucks, I'm going to tell you. If you're in a business to just do eggs and you're thinking you're going to make money one day, I'm going to tell you, dude, that's a hobby. It's not a business. I'm talking about making real money. And if you're in a multi-level marketing, I've written multi-level marketing plans. Okay, that was 25 years ago. Okay, but anyway, I know business. I've been in business. I've raised millions and millions of dollars. This is my true background. And so anyway, I'm going to be honest, but you need to tell me, hey, I'm doing this for the love or I'm doing this for the money. Because if you're doing it for love, it's hard for me to argue, dude. You need to throw that, if you're still doing scrapbooking and try to make money on it, gosh, you missed that boat. That's gone. If you're in essential oils and trying to make money on it, gosh, I know 3 people out of like 500 that actually make some serious money. I'm talking serious money now. If you're looking for a couple $100 a month, that's not a business. That's a hobby. I'm talking, so anyway, just send me your thoughts, answer them 4 questions, send it to me in the email, and I'm going to be honest with you. That's just the way I roll. I got another business guy. I think we've owned like 6 businesses together. We're in 3 businesses together right now. He is probably going to come on. So anyway, so that's coming up. But tonight, whoa, too far. We're going to do GMRS, FRS, MURS, and CBs. And I've got a panel. So I do have some bonus before I bring them in. This is bonus. Ding, 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 ding. Because a lot of you guys are general license. And some of you, most of you are probably technician. So you might not know about this. This is the bonus. I give the bonus in the beginning. And it's called Echolink. It's an app you can put on your phone, and you can talk to a lot of repeaters around the world. So even if you're a technician and you live in California and you would like to join a 2-meter or a repeater in Charlotte, North Carolina, you can download the software Echolink. You got to be a licensed amateur radio guy. You got to have your call sign. You got to register. They got to approve you. But this is going to be important for some of the things we're going to do in the future, because some of our talk groups, you don't have to have a DMR radio. I purchased a device, or PrepperNet's purchased a device that will be able to get you through Echolink to our talk group, our TGI talk group. And that's later on. So everyone go create an account. You can listen to repeaters around the world. It's pretty cool. That's your bonus. That costs nothing. That's free of charge tonight. So, and once you get Echolink and you're in Montana or Missouri and you don't have a DMR, you'll be able to join our talk groups, the Brand Meister talk group and our TGIF talk group. And it says soon to be accessible from Echolink. So that's coming soon to all you guys. So that's just bonus, man. That's just all we do is give, never take. So next, I'm going to bring some Yahoos in with me, and I'm going to let you see them, actually. I'm going to remove this, bring in, there's Patrick. Look at how beautiful Patrick is.
Yes, sir.
And there's Philip. And look at that. That's 4 people. Bravo, you're muted, man. You're muted. He's just, so, I
think his internet's stuck, too.
Is it? There he is. So these are our experts this evening. There are experts on. Okay, someone needs to turn your ham radio.
Bravo sounded better when he was muted.
We're gonna have to pass the hat to get Bravo better internet.
Well, I think it's someone squelch. Let me see who it is. Hang on. I don't know who that is. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, it was as soon as Bravo unmuted himself, it came up.
Okay. So we're going to get started here. Oh, look at that. I've never had 4 people, by the way. Okay. Who has the issue with the sound? It's Bravo sound. Bravo, you need to mute yourself right now. We can't hear you. Okay. I don't know. Something's wrong with his microphone. I think that's his mic because he's moving around. All we hear is static. So let's get started. So we're going to go to the next slide here. So Patrick. Oh, he's gone. But hey, tell us what's going to happen tonight, if you don't mind.
Well, at 9 o'clock tonight, we are going to have a 80-meter net on 3.595 megahertz upper sideband. We'll be using mode Contesti of 4250 at 1000 on the waterfall. And somewhere along the way, at least I intend to go to MFSK 32 to send a little bit of formal traffic using FLAMP and FL message. So you guys get to see what that is like. And I also believe that Philip may be bringing some traffic to the net as well. So we'll do that, take check-ins, and see who all wants to turn out and find out who can communicate with who. So we look forward to seeing you guys there in about an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. So for those of you that have no idea what he just said, that's fine. That's what the rest of this show is about tonight. Okay, so don't worry, don't let your eyes gloss over yet. So we're going to go through. So I got some terms of the week. Okay, just a few, but I just to. So here is a very important term you guys need to know. An Elmer Fudd. I mean Elmer. So Philip, what is an Elmer?
Well, an Elmer is just somebody that you can go to that has probably been there and done it and can help you achieve the goals that you're wanting to achieve with ham radio. So when you have a question like, hey, what's SWR really mean for my antenna and how do I measure it? You go to an Elmer and they are going to show you. So there's only so much you can learn in a book, right? But actually having some one-on-one time with someone with experience can definitely help.
Yes. And so this weekend on Saturday, I had two amazing gentlemen come over. Gosh, I don't know both their call signs. I should have written them down. But Steve and Dean came over and helped me with my HF antenna and got me all set up. I would call them Elmers because they have helped me. They're answering questions. Okay, who is transmitting with the... Yeah, okay. Oh, that's Bravo. He's laughing because he knows it. Oh, we hear. But so an Elmer is someone you can go to. Like Bravo's been an Elmer for me. Patrick, Philip, they're all helping me, and so that's. I know it's a weird word. I mean, why couldn't they just say, "Hey, I need some help"? Well, they call that person Elmer. So anyway, next term is a repeater. Now, if anyone knows what a repeater is, I'm sure it is Patrick.
Well, a repeater, and we won't go into the details of it, but it is a elaborate radio that can transmit on one frequency at the same time that it is listening on a different frequency. And these are typically located on mountaintops or at high elevations, and they do all the heavy lifting that allows your little portable radio to talk over great distances.
Oh, by the way, they have no idea. They've never seen this presentation. So they have no idea even the next slide. So this is pretty fascinating how this is going right now. I wonder if we can get Bravo to hit this next question. This is a term of the week. Bravo, can you come in and tell us what a tone is? A constant tone, a PL? Yeah, we're not hearing you, Bravo. Your mic is not.
I think you got your HF radio audio routed into the call here.
Yeah, your audio is definitely coming from your radio and not your microphone that you're talking.
Yeah.
Into.
Well, we will come back to him once he finishes that. So,
yeah.
You think these Elmer nerds, I mean, good people could figure that out. So, who wants to handle this?
I can.
Go ahead.
Okay. So CTSS, PL, there's some other things it gets called. It just plain old tone are all various manufacturers marketing terms for a subaudible tone that is transmitted by a radio to open the squelch, that gate that keeps the receiver of a radio from opening and allowing audio to pass. So typically on repeaters, you will find a PL tone. There are some repeaters where you will not find a PL tone and they're just using the carrier, but you will also typically find tones. And you have to program that tone in your radio, and when the receiver hears that subaudible tone, it opens the squelch and allows your audio to pass through. So understanding those and understanding a little bit of how they work it's pretty essential to actually getting your radio programmed so that you can actually use it with repeaters. If you have used Motorola FRS radios or any other FRS radio really that have so-called privacy tones, those privacy tones are nothing more than a PL tone or CTSS tone. You're not actually private. You've just coded your squelch so only the person you want can.
And to make it real simple here, Patrick,
go ahead.
If you don't have the correct PL tone or CTCSS on your radio when you transmit, the repeater will not broadcast what you're saying. So you always have to know, and PL and CTCSS is the same thing. So when you transmit, you have to have that in there. Otherwise, the repeater will not rebroadcast it.
It's like the combination to open the door to the repeater.
Yeah, we're waiting on Bravo to figure it out. We still hear his audio from his HF. So, okay, this next few slides, I'm going to go over real quick. And this is kind of a goal. I did this the first meeting, and I wanted to show you guys again, kind of a goal that we have here at PrepperNet. So you guys can still talk in there, but I'm going to make it smaller so people can see it. So currently we have PrepperNetters all over your town, USA. They got different devices, and there's no way to connect them. Everyone's got their radio. They want to test them. They call out trying to get people, maybe the Channel 3 project, different ways. So our goal at PrepperNet is to connect everyone. And how we're going to do that is with the Channel 3 project, and we're going to have PrepperNet city leaders do local nets in your city. And so everyone can start using and testing, and just like we do on Zello, we're going to connect everyone, and hopefully we can connect the whole city, and maybe some line out cities or whatever according to in a city. So we're going to connect. We're going to try to connect each city so people can talk and do it often. And then so we're going to connect them. See the spider web? That represents like a network. That's beautiful, isn't it? Kind of networks them all in into a repeater or somehow. I'm on okay, Bravo. I'm going to try it one more time, Bravo. It's your last chance. We're going to bring Bravo back in and say it. So we're going to connect all the people through like a repeater. Even maybe we do that currently with Zell networks, Zello in different towns. Like we have one in Charlotte. Asheville does one. So there's many different ways to do this. And so the goal is now look at all the cities. Now these aren't actual where we are, but imagine now these little spider webs are going all over these places in these little cities. Okay, and all the people in that little spider net can all communicate and get information, send and receive information. Then we're going to do like the 80-meter net is one of the options tonight, and then boom, we're going to connect the entire United States. So you may have a Belfang radio, you send information to a 2-meter repeater, and then the comms leader then can maybe transmit it to on the backbone and get your message from your town, USA, all the way across the internet to Anchorage, Alaska, to to someone there. Do you want to get information? That's the goal. We have to do that. That's important. So anyway, that's the goal. I just kind of want to go through that real quick. And then next thing I want to say before we really get started is, hey, the goal this month is to take your communication skills to the next level. And when I say that, I mean, if you have no radio, you need to purchase one. If you have a radio, transmit and receive on it. If you have your general license, get your expert. If you've never talked, you talk on a repeater. So at this time in the chat room, I know we have probably a lot of ham people in there. With that said, I want you to put in the chat room what you've done this month to next level your communication skills, if you don't mind. I'm a DMR non-expert. I now got my HF rig, and I am transmitting with aliens on Jupiter. So I've upped my game. So if you guys in the chat room will put maybe some of the things that you've done, we'd kind of like to see what first DMR, learn how to make a field. I see a new. Oh, got my technician. Yes. Any tone. Oh, new. And he got his any tone last week. Got DMR radio and learning. Yes. So SDR based scanner system. Okay. Got my general. Started studying for my general. That's Heath. Oh, great American hero right there. Heath. What else? Dedicated hand. Okay, first meeting. Figure out what radio to buy. Restart it. Asheville. 2-meter net. Yes. Steve. That's the guy right there. He came and helped me. WinLink. So everyone is up in their game. That is the goal this month. Is to up your game. Bought some flashcards to study for my technician. Awesome. See, people, I mean, that's all we got to do is up our game. If we keep doing that. Now, I'm going to say this, and all you ham people, yes, see, people are doing this. Activated GMRS. See, I'm getting my GMRS. Oh, he did a repeater. I'm getting my GMRS license. We're going to talk about that later. Working on Raspberry Pi used for, yes. I got 2 Raspberry Pis. Never even seen one a month ago. So anyway, so everyone's doing something. That is awesome. That is amazing. So next, Philip, you're not on this slide. I apologize. Are you mad at me?
Okay.
So
I'm the black sheep.
Yeah, you're in real life. So we're going to get started now. Oh, where are we going? Right here. Let's bring everybody in. Let me bring Bravo. Bravo, we still hear your audio from your ham radio. We can't hear you. Nope, we still hear your audio from the ham radio. He'll get that fixed. So next slide is we're going to watch a video. This is by special request of Patrick. So get your popcorn and your sodas, and we're going to watch this.
This one is not as long as the last one, I promise.
Oh, it's 45 minutes. Okay.
No, it's about 5.
It's about 5. So Patrick thought this would be great for us to watch, and so I'm going to right now. We're going to play this and enjoy.
(2014 through 2018), Northern California was under siege.
I had no cell, no internet, no TV. I didn't know what was going on.
Unusually aggressive wildfires, among them 2017's Wildfire and 2019's Swedes Fire.
State of emergency in Butte County where a vast
Entire towns burned and trapped residents. Some died, but none was as deadly as the Camp Fire.
She called me up to say goodbye on her cell phone. But then the cell lost its signal.
Too often was the terrifying inability to communicate with loved ones, with anyone.
It was gut-wrenching. It was like having a knife inserted into your stomach and then twisted, because I was under the impression for about 5 hours that my wife had died a fiery and horrific death.
Oh, thank God I got out of there. Okay.
Fires burned through phone, cable, and power lines, as well as cell towers.
I have no cell signal. I can't do anything.
There was no information on what to do, where to go, or just how dangerous the situations were.
When I didn't have communication with the outside world, I'm vulnerable. I don't like this. This isn't going to work for me.
So Lois Miller connected with fellow Butte County neighbor Marissa Brower Gifford to figure out some kind of solution to the communication breakdown.
A fire in these East Foothills
is a fire for all of us.
Is a fire for the South County.
It's a fire for
because
the South County.
It can go anywhere in a small amount of time.
People like Marissa and Lois, who live in rural areas, have to rely more on themselves and each other during emergencies. It could take too much time for help to arrive, if at all. Lois and Marissa held a community meeting in July of 2019. 100 people showed up, and they all felt the same, helpless. It was time for that to change. By the end of that meeting, a solution was proposed. Expert recommendations from 2 men who happened to be at that meeting, Kevin Fullerton and Theodore Cochran.
How are we going to communicate? Radios, batteries, a network. Come on, we can do this. There's a way.
General Mobile Radio Service, or GMRS. It's a 2-way radio system similar to those family walkie-talkies, but with much more power and transmission distance.
This is WREA 911. John, are you available? Over.
This is Whiskey Romeo Echo Alpha 864. Hi, Lois.
In 2 months, Lois bought her first radio. Soon after, about 75 of her neighbors bought them too. They put units in their homes, in their cars, and installed antennas on their roofs to get the most distance, some 50 miles or more. But there was still one problem: that ridge separating the east zone of Butte County from the west.
Right out here is the dam. So from that point there, going all the way down this ridge line to Bangor is the affected area.
No worries. Theodore had the expertise and a plan.
Okay, well, over my shoulder is the repeater antenna.
An antenna that will capture all those GMRS signals, send them to this repeater, then back out the antenna to radios miles away.
It gave us the ability to tie the two zones together, which gave us the full coverage area that we were looking for.
And that includes a direct two-way signal to the Butte County Sheriff's Office. Kevin Fullerton is a Butte County Sheriff's Reserve communications officer. When a wildfire strikes, he and his team of 15 volunteers will be able to talk directly with everyone using the GMRS radios in the Mount Ida community, and will for the first 12 hours of any critical emergency.
And we're going to be sharing evacuation routes, the knowledge that we know about the situation, how it's playing out, and what we're doing to get people out of the area.
Power outages and downed cell towers and phone lines are no longer an obstacle to communications. These radios are backed up with batteries.
Calling for WR.
Linda Oslin's neighbors have gathered at her Mount Ida home. They all spent the $250 to $600 for the radios and have nothing but praise for their new lifelines.
I can get on that radio if I need to contact somebody very fast without having to remember a phone number or where my cell phone is or something like that. So for me, it's very comforting, and just to hear voices too.
John asked for a radio check.
You can always find somebody on the radio, and word of mouth is invaluable in an emergency situation.
This is Whiskey Romeo Echo Alpha 864. You're coming in loud and clear.
It took just a little time to learn how to use it. Every Tuesday night, the Mount Ida community conducts their net control, a roll call of sorts, giving everyone a chance to say hello and practice.
Yeah, you're not alone.
You're not
It's a
alone.
party line. It's a party line.
And there's
You get
always
to know your
somebody-
neighbors.
There's always somebody on the party line.
This old school technology has given them peace of mind, something today's technology couldn't.
Got the radio? First time we did our roll call, I slept like a log.
Okay. We'll bring everybody back in here. Okay, everyone is in. So, okay, guys, you want to comment on that, Patrick?
Yeah. So this video is probably one of the best videos that I've seen thus far, really showing the value of the GMRS, the General Mobile Radio Service, because it's a licensed service. There's no exam, there's no test. Most people don't realize that you can use repeaters with the service, and it works very similar to 70 centimeter amateur radio. So in a community, a prepper group, or a family that wants to communicate, but amateur radio is logistically out of their wheelhouse or out of their reach, GMRS is a easy solution to that. And GMRS is designed around it. I will say ham radio operators are expected to be their own radio technicians. You're supposed to, know how to build it, know how it works, know how to take it apart, put it back together, and modify it. GMRS is not that way. GMRS is designed just as a user's radio service. So that's one of its benefits in this particular case. And, we'll talk a lot more about GMRS here in a minute and some of the finer details of GMRS. But yeah, that's I thought that would be valuable for everyone to see, and maybe give some folks an excellent idea of what can be done within their community without everybody having to get an amateur radio license. Back to you, Forrest.
Yes. So actually, we're going to add that to the screen. So GMRS, and so I mean, anyone want to introduce it other than Philip or Bravo? Are you okay?
Are we good now?
Yeah, you're good.
I had to reset the link to the program here. So once I went out and came back in, we were good.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
Thank goodness. So anyone want to pick up GMRS and tell us a little bit more about it?
I mean, I can jump in there. GMRS has 22 different channels. Each channel refers to a frequency. On ham radio, we talk a lot about frequencies, 146.52, 446.00, something like that. But in GMRS, for the most part, everything is channelized to make it easy. So if you turn to channel 8, it's always going to be 467.5625 megahertz, right? And you have different power ratings that you can use. You can get up to 50 watts on GMRS, which 50 watts, if you've got some altitude, you're going to get out there pretty far. There's also 8 input frequencies for repeaters. So there's 8 pairs. So every region could have 8 repeaters plus PL tones and CTCSS. So it really is a way, and it's great because your entire family can use it with just one license. And I'm sure that might be one of the slides. I don't know.
It's on there now.
All right.
Some of the features is it's a 10-year license. There's no test. It's $70 now to get it. It's just an application, but it goes down, we think, April 14th to $35. Is that correct, guys?
It'll be sometime thereafter, but not more than however long it takes to get finalized on the books.
Yep.
It's the government, you know how that goes.
And one license covers you, your immediate family, husband, wife, kids, siblings, grandparents, aunts, uncles. You get the point. Covers a lot of people.
And of course, one of the best ways to find if there's GMRS repeaters in your area is going out the repeater book. So if you go out the repeater book and you bring up the little filter, which is the 3 little lines on there, you can filter by GMRS and FM. You got to put in those 2. Let's see if you can see that. Turn it the right way. Filter by GMRS and FM.
Okay.
So if you filter by those 2, it will come up and show you all the repeaters for GMRS that's in your area.
Nice. And do you have to buy a special radio for GMRS, or will this little baby work?
Technically, you cannot use that radio.
Well, technically you can.
Well, yes, legally you cannot.
That's correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. GMRS radios must be licensed under Part 95 of the FCC rules. I'm not going to bore everybody with details of that. If you want to go read it. But GMRS radios will not transmit outside of the GMRS bands in order to meet that particular certification, with a couple exceptions. Again, not going into that because I don't want to bore everyone. So yes, do you have more GMRS slides, or when do you want me to jump into GMRS? Okay,
that's it.
Go so GMRS repeaters are worth spending a couple minutes talking about, because GMRS repeater etiquette is very different than amateur radio repeater etiquette. In the amateur radio world, typically we just assume that if there's a repeater out there and it's turned on, then we can use it. And that's 99% of the time true. However, in the GMRS world, typically the exception or the expectation is that you will have permission from the repeater owner to use their repeater. Some GMRS repeater owners may charge a fee for using the repeaters. Typically, it's like joining the club kind of fee. Other repeater owners just want you to ask for permission, and they say, yeah, sure, you can use it. There is one kind of a general made exception to that, which is, we talked about CTSS or CTCSS tones, PL tones earlier. If you want to get your pen and paper before I say this and jot it down, go ahead and do that. But there's a particular tone that is called the travel tone in GMRS, and it's 141.3. The 141.3 PL tone is called the travel tone. And if a GMRS repeater has 141.3 set up as its tone, typically it's accepted that you can just go ahead and use that repeater. That's kind of your permission to use it. So I think Bravo is holding up something there related to that.
In there.
I see a white screen, Bravo.
Yeah, it's not wanting to, it was showing the repeater and repeater book showing the 141.3
Okay.
in there. So it'll tell you in the repeater book about that tone.
So, do make sure that, you have permission to use repeaters if you're going to do GMRS. In my area, fortunately, there's a number that are free to use. Some folks are different about that, want to control who's on the repeater because maybe they put it up for their family or their group. Additionally, if a prepper group wants to put up a repeater, the common polite thing to do, because there is no coordinating body for GMRS repeaters the way that there is for amateur radio repeaters, is to listen out there, listen around, find a frequency that someone is not using nearby, and then put your GMRS repeater on that one so you're a good neighbor. Don't be the guy that puts one on somebody else's frequency 15 miles away, because we've had that happen. But anyway, that's kind of the basics of GMRS in that respect. Don't get hung up on GMRS portable radios. Because again, they're portable radios. The real range and capability for GMRS comes from using mobile radios with good quality antennas and that sort of arrangement with more power than your 4 or 5 watt portable. Additionally, if you're shopping for GMRS radios and you want to use repeaters with them, make sure that your GMRS radios will take repeater programming, that they'll do what's called duplex mode, where that you can program one transmit frequency and one receive frequency, where we talked about repeaters earlier, because a lot of GMRS radios will not do that. And I'll try to post on PrepperNet some information about GMRS radios very soon, particularly with a list of some radios that might be good choices. Another kind of technical detail that I'll just kind of warn everyone about with GMRS radios is there is a certain big manufacturer out there that advertises GMRS radios all the time, and their repeater option in their radio does what is called FM narrowband and not FM wideband. And most amateur radio repeaters and most GMRS repeaters are wideband. If you use a narrowband radio with them, everyone is going to be telling you all the time, hey, your audio's low. You need to turn up your mic. We can't hear you. Your audio's low, and it's because your radio deviations are low. So just bear that in mind to take a look in the specs and make sure that they will do wideband before you go to put one on a repeater. Patrick, it looks like Forrest has a question.
Yes. I do have a question, and you know what? You can answer this, or you could skirt around the answer.
Yes.
So I think there's 715 trillion Baofeng radios out there.
Yep.
And people watching this, I'm sure, has a Baofeng radio, and we know that the Baofeng will transmit and do the repeater thing. If I use that, would I go to jail?
No.
Okay. That's you don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
No, I mean, I will even go so far as to tell everybody that I have yet to see a Part 95 GMRS repeater on the air. They're all Part 90 equipment.
Right. Well, the GMRS specification specifically says in Part 95 that the radio must meet the technical requirements of Part 95, which Part 90 radios, like a Motorola commercial radio, meets those technical requirements. So there's been some controversy as to which radios you can and cannot use, but a Part 90 radio is not going to be an issue. As for a Baofeng, yeah, it's technically not allowed on there. If the FCC ever decides to do anything about it, they could, but I highly doubt it. It's only if you're going to use your Baofeng. If you start messing around on public safety frequencies, they're going to come after you. That's the key. Stay away from those public safety frequencies.
And I'll also, go ahead and mention for people that are, the Baofeng's cheap. There's a lot of them out there. Baofeng, BTEC, Redivus, a whole bunch of the cheap manufacturers make GMRS radios that literally have nothing but a dial on the top of them to turn and bounce from frequency to frequency. The Baofeng radios may be a little complex for the non-radio initiated. So if you are looking for simple radios for your group, you may want to look at those radios that literally just have a knob with 16 clicks on the top of it. And what those will typically have is GMRS channels, and they'll leave out the FRS half watt channels from 7 through 14. And then you'll have the 1 through 6 and 15 through 20, 14 through 22, 15 through 20, whatever. I'm trying to do math on video, and that's.
And also be careful of the mobile ones you buy, because some of those are lower power. Make sure you look at these specifications, and you're getting the ones that can do at least 40 to 50 watts.
Yeah, and don't get tied up like we were talking about commercial radios. Don't get tied up looking at BTEC radios for $300 for a mobile. You can buy a used Motorola for $40 and get the radio shop to program it locally. Become friends with your local radio shop would be my suggestion.
Some other things about GMRS is that the FCC does allow short data bursts, so you cannot use DMR on GMRS, but I believe it's Garmin makes a GMRS radio that will actually transmit your position. So if you're out hunting and with your family and you want to know where somebody is, or just with your group, there are GMRS radios that have a GPS built into them where you can transmit. Something that wasn't mentioned is when you do have your GMRS license, like amateur radio, you do need to put out your call sign. And on the GMRS side, it's once every 15 minutes, as opposed to on the ham side, every 10 minutes.
That is correct.
Awesome.
And I see somebody making a comment down here, and I want to use this as a chance to kind of start into a little bit of a different topic here. But someone said they have 3 Baofengs and have never made contact with anyone. So here's one of the things that we have to keep in mind. So 5 watts of GMRS, 5 watts of 70 centimeter amateur radio, 5 watts of VHF. All of those are going to go about the same distance. Just because you have an amateur radio license doesn't make your radio waves special and make them go further. So portables are portables are portables. They all suck. So realize that between 2 portable radios, no matter what license you have, you're still looking at a mile or 2 under most circumstances, and that's it, unless you get somebody up on a ridge.
And then you have line of sight as well, because
exactly.
If you don't have a group or an area that you're talking to, then you're going to have. If you need an area to talk to, you're going to have to rely on probably repeaters. But if you're using it for group, then you can use it there locally, real close together.
Yeah, right. And you can also, if someone in your group hopefully is at a decent radio location with some elevation, if they have a base radio with an external antenna, on the roof, a telephone pole, whatever, that can dramatically increase your range.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that. So what's the most important thing about a radio?
Which band? Particularly these, it's elevation, elevation, elevation.
Exactly. Or antenna.
Yes. Yep. It's all about the antenna. If you're turning the power into heat, then it's not doing you any good. Someone did comment to, make sure everyone knows that a ham license does not allow you to operate on GMRS. They are 2 completely different services. You should learn that when you're studying for your amateur radio license, but some people just memorize the question pool, and that may not be in it at the moment.
And another question just came up, and we'll move on. It says closest GMRS repeater is 50 plus miles. That's okay. You might be able to hit that.
Maybe with a bubble.
Yep, there's one in Knoxville, Tennessee. You can access from Johnson City, which is 100 miles away, with a mobile.
Yes.
Yep, you're going to need higher power.
Yep.
No, you're not going to do it with a handheld.
So, okay, next we're going to go to this, and we'll take questions in a little bit. But you guys, here we are now. It's the FRS radio, which is very similar to GMRS. Who wants to tackle this? And they come together a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say let's kind of bounce from person to person on this one, because I'm getting tired of talking. But FRS is unlicensed, and it does use the same frequencies, with the exception of the repeater inputs that GMRS uses. Recently, the FCC changed the rules so that Forest's half-watt max is incorrect. It's actually 2 watts max now.
It used to be a half watt.
Used to be half watt. It's 2
That's
watts.
right.
They actually made FRS a respectable radio service now, in some ways. So 2 watts, with the exception of those middle frequencies there, the 8 through 14 that are half a watt still. And if somebody wants to know the technical reasons for that, one of us can explain it offline. But again, not going to bore you with that. But the frequencies 1 through 7 and 15 through 22 are all 2 watts now. FRS radios cannot have detachable antennas, so you got to run what you brung. What's on the radio is all you get. But one cool kind of thing you can exploit with this is, because you're using the same frequencies, FRS users and GMRS users are allowed to communicate with each other. So your base station that you perhaps have at your house, that you're operating at 5 watts or more, depending on which frequency you're on, with a elevated antenna that's got really good coverage, can greatly extend those FRS users' range and potentially allow you to communicate with FRS users a lot further away. So you can take advantage of that and gain some coverage for FRS users in a mixed situation.
FRS is only meant for very, very close conversations. It's not meant to have any distance. There's no real regulation on that.
Yeah, you will hear everybody on Earth on FRS, from businesses to kids playing and anything else. The other thing about FRS and GMRS is, unlike the amateur radio service, there is no prohibition on conducting business on those frequencies. So you hear people doing business on them, even though it's kind of frowned upon on FRS. They do that. I have a set of Motorola. I'm trying to remember what model these are. They're T something or the others. That are actually 2 watts, and they actually do about 1.5 miles to 2 miles. They work very well.
Hey, let me grab one of these questions here. It says, do you need a GMRS license to use the shared frequencies? Do I have, I do have my license, just wondering. No, you can use FRS channels 1 through 22 on FRS or GMRS, and you can talk to everybody there. There's no restriction on what frequencies you transmit on. In fact, if you use an FRS radio and you are a GMRS licensed person, you don't even have to give your call sign if you're using an FRS radio, because it doesn't matter. It's when you start going above those power limits, where you start using repeaters, where that is a requirement there for you.
And another good thing about FRS. Another good thing about FRS is everyone and their brother has one. Every kid that has a walkie-talkie these days, or family, they're all FRS mostly. Everyone that does like paintball, they're everywhere. You can walk in any house in America, and there's a possibility you'll find an FRS radio.
Yep, and you can buy them on Amazon for like $10 to $12 a piece.
And don't
So
they
if you-
go for 60 miles? Because my packaging said 60 miles.
Maybe if both of you are on top of 3,000-foot tall mountains and
From an
you got a
airplane.
little luck, yeah.
60 meters, maybe.
So
But,
don't
it-
believe
it's-
packaging.
It's really a good radio. It may say something crazy like 30 miles, but that UHF frequency, it breaks through buildings. So if you're in the basement, you need to talk to somebody that's 5 floors up. You can do that where your cell phone might not work in the basement. FRS radios can do that for you. I've traveled across the United States using FRS radios. You get a good 2 miles out of them if you're inside vehicles. It's really, I mean, it's good for local communication. It definitely is.
Just remember when you go to buy those handhelds, once again, that you look at the specs, because there's going to be tons of them out there that still only do half a watt versus 2 watts. So make sure if you are getting any of those handhelds, you do get the ones that have the full 2 watt transmit power.
Yeah, and those are kind of few and far between. And like I said, I'm going to put a list of some ones I've been able to track down on the PrepperNet.net site.
Right.
That was something I was interested in finding for you guys. So I've got a few already found. Somebody did mention here about the issue I commented with everyone on there. Yeah, if you're on vacation and you don't want your kids to hear all the profanity that are on FRS, that's what the privacy tones are good for, particularly if you get ones that will do digital privacy tones, because a lot of radios won't do digital privacy tones. So the odds of somebody showing up on your privacy tones even lower at that point. So, just something to keep in mind.
So a couple things about FRS. Anyone can use them. There's no license whatsoever. There's no test. The radios are everywhere. The max is, I guess, now 2 watts. There are no repeaters, so it's only line of sight for FRS. And then GMRS, it does share some of the same channels. So anything, is that pretty much cover that, you think?
That pretty much covers it. Go out, buy some, toss them away to hand out to people if you need to during a disaster. They're a great way for a neighborhood or a small community to communicate with each other when.
Yeah, or even that 5K run. If you're helping a community event with a 5K run, I always have a couple with me because I've gone to them and I've just handed out a couple FRS radios to people and been the net control between FRS and amateur radio operators. So,
and that's actually an excellent point, Phil. That's something to kind of just to put this in your, in your thought process out there is, in a disaster, in any kind of real world event where you may have multiple groups working together or that kind of thing. If you're doing search and rescue or trying to locate someone that's missing or anything, even any variety of things, if you have people that are working closely together that may not have amateur radio licenses, you can give them FRS radios and then put one amateur operator with each group, and then they can extend their range indefinitely that way. And it makes your amateur radio operators go further because there's not many of them. And
not only that, let's say you're doing search and rescue. I would put on the flyers, hey, we're doing a search in this area. Everyone bring your radios. And 95% of the people would bring a FRS radio, and you divide them up in different channels, and you don't have to buy the people the radios. They probably already have them. So, okay, next, we're going to move on here because we got a net coming up. Who wants to tackle this? Anyone but Patrick. He talks so much.
I could jump in there. I don't know a lot about MURS other than it's there. There's 5 channels. It is made for both business and personal communication. It is VHF as opposed to UHF. So you do have some differences there. I talked earlier about the FRS radio. You're in the basement. You're talking to somebody 5 stories up. That MURS radio that signal might not go through that building as well as a UHF radio. It's not a bad. There's alarm systems I know that are on these. There's different businesses that are using these for sending digital communications between short distances. channels 1 through 3, I think he had up there, they're narrow band. Whereas the other channels are going to be a wide band, and we're just talking about the quality of voice. So when we talk about narrow band, think about listening to the stereo in a monotone, right? We talk about wide band, you're listening to a signal in stereo. So it has, I think MURS has been out longer than FRS and GMRS. Is that correct, Patrick?
I'm not sure on that one. I know several of those frequencies, particularly the 154 frequencies there, were previously in one of the industrial business pool bands, and there are still some industrial business pool licensees on those. So I think Walmart may even be one of those licensees, because you do hear Walmart on MURS.
But for personal use, you don't need a license.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That came out in 2000.
In 2000. So I do know this, that I have on my retreat, we have Dakota motion detectors all throughout our retreat. And so on our ham radios, when the alarm is tripped, it will actually send me a message to that frequency telling me that zone has been compromised. So
the Dakota alert stuff uses the MURS bands.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So Bravo, you got anything else to add to this?
There's not a lot to MURS. I think it's more of anything, just a VHF type of a GMRS type of thing, or an FRS type of thing, meant for short distance communications that the FCC allowed. So I don't think there's a whole lot more to that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of created back when businesses really weren't supposed to be using FRS as a business alternative that was unlicensed. And it's also, because of that, there's not many people using it. So even though there's only 5 frequencies, you won't hear very many people on it, because the radios used to be very hard to find. Now there's a couple people making them, but they used to be very difficult to find.
Okay, wait a second. Breaker 19, have you got your ears on? Oh, sorry.
You probably get a little better performance out of that, because it's VHF, as long as you're not around like buildings and stuff like that. So I would say in an open area event, like some of the races and stuff, you might be better off using the MURS.
Yeah, and you can use external antennas with MURS.
Okay, how about Breaker 19, Rubber Ducky, Smokey and the Bandit and CB radios?
All I can say is I've got one.
I mean, they've been around forever. There used to be a license requirement to have a CB. It's no more. Channel 19 is usually the channel that you're going to find truck drivers on highways on. There's Channel 9 is what is traditionally the emergency communications channel. They're limited to 4 watts in power. So 12 watts. I don't know about that.
You can up to 12 watts. I looked it up on FCC.
Huh. Maybe that's if you do sideband on your maximum.
Fact check me.
Yeah, that may be peak envelope power.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay. That's the one I got, Forrest.
So I'm going to go here. So I have this device here. This is a CB radio right here. I mean, you can plug it in your car, my antenna, but it's a handheld CB. So this is a Midland. So, but a lot of the truckers use it. It's very helpful if you travel too, because you can hear what's going on.
Now, what's amazing about this, because CB is in that 27 megahertz range, 26, it's really close to the 10 meter amateur band. But what can happen is, if conditions are right, you can literally talk around the world with a CB.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what,
it doesn't happen often, but it's possible.
I've got mine specifically for if the grid down situation where you need intelligence. That's truckers are a really good source, because they're on the road everywhere. They see what's going down, all over the place. So that is a very good source of intelligence gathering, is from a CB.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see what my slides say here. Y'all can call me if I'm wrong or not. Breaker 19 truckers, I have that. So let's see. Oh, here's the how many channels does it have?
40 plus
40
some
channels.
extras.
Yes.
Sidebands.
And there are a lot of dedicated CB. There is a whole community of CB people with base stations, just like ham and just like GMRS. They're little segments of the population there, of the radio, amateur radio. But you don't need a license. Can you use repeaters with CBs?
Nope.
Okay.
No, and they also have a group called React. There's still some React groups out there that use CB for different things like emergency situations, search and rescue, stuff like that.
And something else to know, when we talk about FRS, GMRS, MURS, those are all VHF frequencies, a VHF modulation, whereas CB is actually AM modulation. So it's going to sound different.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is
and
also
they have their own lingo. I mean, that's a whole different. That's like going to the ghetto because they have lingo you're not going to probably understand in the beginning.
The other thing about CB is it is at the very top of the HF spectrum. No, I'm not going to go into that because it's going to go down the drain real fast on CB. For anybody that spent any amount of time on Channel 19, my wife thought she understood how crude people could be. She didn't have a clue.
Right.
But anyway, so one other thing, I'm going to put the Elmer hat on for just a second here about CB, and for folks that may be interested in trying to get a CB going, or maybe that may be what they think fits their needs. So I have a lot of friends who are in the overlanding off-roading community, and I have fixed a lot of CB installs for them over the years. And one thing I can tell you that is the characteristic of 95% of the CB installations out there is they're wrong. And that's why the people who use them complain they can't hear anything and they can't receive and nobody can hear them. And because the frequency band that CB operates at, again, it's at the top of the HF spectrum, requires very large antennas. You guys have all seen Dukes of Hazzard. You remember seeing the people running around with a 102-inch long steel antenna with a tennis ball on it to keep from beating the paint off their bumper. That is what it takes to get a quarter wavelength or an efficient antenna on CB. Everything else is largely a compromise. The little fiberglass whips you see truckers using are a pretty serious compromise.
And make sure you got a good ground too.
Yeah, you got to make sure it's a good ground. I actually, on most of the friends overlanding rigs I've done, I put an NMO mount, a new Motorola mount, just like we'd use for our VHF or UHF radios, and buy a commercial CB antenna from somebody like Larson or Comet that's base loaded, so it's a little shorter and doesn't get hung up on everything, but is a true quality commercial antenna. I mean, that mount and antenna together are going to cost you more than the CB did. But
yeah, the grounding I think is very key, especially when it comes to this radio. You can, a CB that's not grounded, you can get a lot of static, a lot of just noise. And as soon as you ground it, that noise disappears.
You may not hear anything until you get a good ground. You can, if you're putting it on a car, put it somewhere where you got a good ground, or if you have to scratch some paint off, make sure you do that, or you're not going to get a good ground.
What's the range of a CB?
Well, if the band conditions are awesome, it may be across the country, but most of the time they're not.
Okay.
So 5 to 10 miles, maybe.
So we've covered the basics of GMRS, FRS, CB, and MURS. So here's the good thing for everyone. It's easy. The GMRS and FRS are the same radio almost 100% of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. The CB is something you should have anyway. That's less than $100, no matter how you look at it. This handheld, what do you think we paid for this? Like $70, Bravo?
I don't even know if it was that much, probably closer to 45, 50 maybe.
And this
I bought that a while ago.
And this battery comes off and you can plug it right into your cigarette lighter of your car. So all these radios are very cheap to own and operate. Only the GMRS requires a license. And so do you need these in your prepping packs? I think you do. Absolutely. You need to be able at least to receive all the signals from all these. I think you need to be able to communicate on CB and FRS and GMRS. Matter of fact, GMRS is going to be a part of the PrepperNet protocol. We're getting ready to. All of us are really waiting. I mean, I'm talking. There's a bunch of people waiting for the price to go down to $35. If you're waiting for that, raise your hand. I know Bravo is. I am. As soon as that happens, we're all going to get our GMRS license. So, and it's $35 for 10 years. I think it happens sometime next month. So here's what I want to throw you guys, though. You guys can still comment on this. Where do you need to be, or where do you want to be on all this communication stuff? Do nothing. That is not an option. That we highly don't recommend that. Working knowledge, okay, that we'll be okay if you have working knowledge. Not everyone can be a rock star or an expert. I would like for everyone on all these different, because trust me, the ones we covered tonight are very simple compared to just a technician or a general license, but they still work and get you information. So I'm going to say, let's go past working knowledge for everyone here, especially on these four: the CB, the MURS, GMRS, and FRS. Everyone here needs to be proficient. It not only even with your technical, even UHF, your 20 meters and 70 centimeters, you need to know how to operate that baseline. So in our group, I tell you guys a lot of times, if you come to me and go, hey, I want to join your group, I got some serious gun skills. I'm like, I don't care. Everyone in my group has serious gun skills. It's kind of like the common denominator. So everyone in PrepperNet, your common denominator should be, and we want you to be able to do 2 meters, 7 centimeters. We want you to be able to do CB, FRS, GMRS, and MURS. And we want everyone to have that common knowledge right there. Should be the common denominator with everyone in PrepperNet. Would y'all agree with that?
I agree.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And then there's some of you guys, they're going to take this to the next level and become an expert. Like the gentleman I have, I am not an expert. I'm getting proficient, but I'm not. Well, I am on the ones I mentioned, I guess, kind of. But I'm not an expert. And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm gonna if you guys on here with me, if y'all could just cover your ears, all you Philip, Patrick, and Bravo. I'm not going to be an expert. Don't tell them. I don't care to be an expert. I don't want to be an expert. I've got other things in my preps that are equally as important to me. But to you, you might choose, hey, I want to be an expert at this. And we need the experts. We need 5% of all PrepperNetters to be an expert. Would y'all agree with me on that?
I don't even think it has to be 5%.
Right.
Yeah, I think, even 1%. And I'm not an expert either.
Oh
an
my
expert
God.
is a has-been under pressure.
I think your comms leaders should be probably closer to the experts.
Okay.
I'd like to see an expert in each city.
Right.
At least one.
Wow.
Yep.
Did y'all know this was coming up, this next slide?
No, but that's what we want experts in, is those are the main people that have to do it.
And so everyone, the common denominator for all preppers, we need to bring that up to be proficient in the things I said. I'll say it one more time so you hear me. 2 meters, 70 centimeters, CB, GMRS, FRS, and MURS. You need to know and understand them and be very proficient and how they work and how to use it. Even getting a radio that you've never had in your life, if I throw it to you and I tell you some basic information, you could figure out how to program that from the front dial. Because that's what it's going to come down to in a grid down or a situation. You need to be able to figure that out from the front dial. And once you have the basic knowledge, you can do that. So everyone needs that. And then we have Elmer's. We have people like Patrick, Philip, and Bravo that are helping people all the time with DMR, helping them with the 80 meters. They've been helping me because I want to be proficient with the 80 meters and the 40 and the 20. I don't want to become an expert. I just want to be able to always make mine work and do what it needs to do. You guys go ahead. Comment.
I agree. And it's, if everybody can pick up a radio, put it on the right frequency, know what button to hit to transmit, that's what's needed, because individually, all of your members of all of your teams should have some basic communication skills to be proficient. Those people then talk to your city leader. City leader can easily broadcast whatever is important to the region or to the national level of what might be going on, passing information, passing traffic. So just having that ability to just communicate without cell phones, communicate without the grid, is key, because you don't know. I lived in Baltimore City, or I worked in Baltimore City, lived just outside of Baltimore City. And there was that East Coast earthquake. And when that earthquake hit, I was not able to reach my wife. I cell phone was not working. Thankfully, I had a what I call an urban assault vehicle, a motorcycle, and I cut through traffic and I got the heck out of there, because at the time, we lived in a row home that was a brick row home, and all I could think of is what happened if that brick house crumbled during the earthquake. Right? I could not communicate with my wife, and that, even to this day, that still bugs me. So you need to make sure that you have a way to communicate that is not just a cell phone, whether that's FRS, GMRS, CB, whatever it may be, ham radio. And you need to test those abilities so that when somebody is away, they can communicate.
Yeah, it's actually an individual responsibility. That's going to be priority when the grid goes down, is the communication part of it. And like they said, you don't have to be an expert, but you need to be proficient. And I think that's probably one of the most responsible things you could do as a prepper, is to at least be proficient in what you're doing.
Yes. So I have on the slide, it says we need city comm leaders. So contact your city leader. And if you have no city leader, just contact Patrick Adams. He's on the .net, and send him $12. Okay, no, don't. Patrick, you still with us? Are you getting ready for the net?
No, I'm still here.
So right now, if you have any questions, I posted earlier, let's take questions, and then we're going to take some last comments. We got like 6 minutes before, so everybody can get ready, take a bathroom break, and we're going to get ready for the 80 meter net. Hey, and if you're not ready to listen or participate in the 80 meter net, that's okay. You'll get there. Start asking questions on the .net, and we can help you get there, and we can tell you what to buy. If you have a shortwave radio, say, hey, I'm interested in taking my shortwave radio and listen to what you guys are saying. I know I can't transmit, but hey, we can help you do that. Or I can't help you do that.
And the communications doesn't just stop with the modes that we talked about today. There's still the Marine VHF mode for talking to boaters. There's still the aircraft band for talking to aircraft. All these different modes are really important to be able to, for the experts to be able to listen, get that reconnaissance that you need. But you also might find that, hey, life flight's coming in with a helicopter. I've got an aircraft handheld radio. I could talk directly to the helicopter as it's coming down to land to pick up somebody at a roadside accident if you needed to. So don't just limit your thoughts to just what we're talking about today, but just think about who can you communicate with and what do you need to communicate with them.
Yep. So a question came up. I'll let you guys answer it. 80 meter net on Echolink. I know the answer, but go ahead. No, it's not.
No, that's 2 meter 440 only.
Yep. So you cannot listen to it. You can with a shortwave radio, but we're transmitting in digital tonight. So you're going to need a computer to go with your shortwave radio.
You can use an SDR, or you
okay.
can listen in, like you said, with the shortwave.
Mm-hmm. So,
Also,
someone asked about city leaders.
I seen a question real quick from Christina. She was talking about programming in or GMRS channels, I think. And I just want to let everybody know, if you've got a Baofeng, you've got 127 channels that you actually 128 channels that you can program all the FRS, all the GMRS, all the MURS channels in there. Not the CB channels, but all those 2 meter and 4 channels. You can get all those in your Baofeng. And if you belong to a city group, you should have a band plan that has all of that in there.
So to find out your cities, join PrepperNet.net. Find your city group, join it. If there's not a group, a city, a group in your city, then you need to start one and you need to contact me. And I am Garvin on there. So SDR feed line with FL. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, it is technical to learn some of this stuff, but I mean, to connect a shortwave, it is very easy to do, but there's things you got to learn how to do it. Maybe we could find a video on how to do that, actually, because I would like to see that video.
So I was just going to say, Nina Sweet asked, what would be the easiest type of radio to start on? The easiest type of radio, I would say, would be just an FRS radio. You walk into a Walmart, you go on Amazon. There's usually 2 of them in a bubble pack. That is the absolute easiest radio to start on. Would you agree, Patrick?
Absolutely.
Are they ham licensed?
I don't know. I was just reading that question.
Yeah. Was assuming it was an unlicensed question. I also want to hit another comment here real fast about shortwave radios and not picking stuff up. Realize most shortwave stations are running kilowatts or megawatts, and those of us in the amateur world are running, typically less than 100 watts. So having a good antenna is going to be a requirement for getting us. And to give you an example of what a good antenna might look like on 80 meters, it's 134 feet of wire strung up between 2 trees connected in the center. It's a dipole. Okay, they're big.
Yes.
And those wires that come with a shortwave, if you can get that outside of your house through a window or something like that, that's going to make a world of difference also from being inside your house.
Yes. Yep. So I'll look for a video, someone taking a shortwave radio. I'm not sure if there is one. I'll look for one because I want to see it myself. And when I find it, I'll post it in the comms section of the .net website. So, because I know Elizabeth's talking about that right now as well. And I would love to I want to be able to do that for myself.
Well, when you talk about HF digital, using the shortwave with FL, decoding the signal from digital, it's as easy as taking your shortwave radio, and you got to have the FL Digi software on your computer, so that's got to be running. You got to be hearing the signal come out of the computer and into the shortwave to decode it. So you can literally sit your shortwave radio next to your computer speakers, and as long as you're getting that signal in there, it'll decode that signal just by listening to it.
No, I'll look for a radio. I understand the concept. I want to see a video because I'm to take what you just said and actually do it. I'm not sure I'm smart enough.
I'll try to make a video with my little CountyCom radio just sitting next to my speaker decoding it.
Yeah. So tonight you can't listen unless you have it's digital, so you can't listen tonight unless you have. Well, you can hear, but it's going to sound like on. Be prepared to. It's going to sound like a fax machine, kind of, but you won't be able to understand it at all because you need the digital. What it's transmitting digital, so you need a decipher that deciphers the digital into text. I'm not sure if that's the right language there, but that's kind of what I'm.
You need FL Digi on your computer installed.
Yeah.
It can hear what's coming out of your shortwave and decode it.
So what digital mode are we using at 9 o'clock? I think it's there we go.
Contestia 4250.
Yep. Well, I think we've covered everything. I guess we got to get ready for the big net.
Yep, Patrick's going to be launching first transmission here in about a minute.
Okay, how does everyone communicate as we're trying to get the net going? Isn't it on Zello?
We're going to be on Zello to take any questions.
So if you have questions or problems, you need to get on the ZelloNet comms channel. I'm going there right now. And I'm going to make sure everyone's approved because I know you guys probably haven't joined it already. I already hear someone transmitting on the net. I'm approving people right now that are on the comms channel. It's PrepperNet-comms.
And I'm sure one of us will have our DMR radio turned on to the Brandmeister and the TGIF talk groups.
Yep. Well, with that said, any last words? Because we got 4 minutes. Nope. No last words.
Buy a radio if you don't have one. Give us a call. Talk to us.
Yep. Step up your game. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Bravo65. Thank you, Philip. And we will see you guys on the .net, PrepperNet.net site or on the 8 meter net. We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, guys.
Later.